Meatmore says, how do you approach leading from the bottom, i.e. giving advice or feedback to leaders above you in a hierarchy? Dude. So in my capacity as a maker, I have in the past worked with groups of people who are older and more experienced than I, and yet still might not have been the great group of problem solvers for the problem we needed to solve at the moment. Whereas I, in this capacity, and I've been here several times, did know the right path to take. But I can't say to these people who are older and more experienced than I, in an industry I don't work in, that doesn't work. I'm being circumspect about the details. I don't want to insult anybody. But I have done a lot of leading from the bottom in those cases. And it involves sort of making some suggestions, going off to the side during lunch and building something to make your point, trying incrementally. It also often means waiting for failures and then when you're asked for how to. So like one thing about leading from the bottom is you're not going to run the bad tests off at the pass. They're going to happen in front of you. And so you have to bound the problem of what you're doing. And you're going to have to sometimes wait until you get asked for the solution in order to give it. I was telling us that story to Katie Coleman, astronaut Katie Coleman, whose book that came out last year floored me. It's so wonderful. You should go buy it. C-A-D-Y is how her first name is spelled, Katie Coleman. Katie Coleman, and I was telling her about working with this team and how I had to lead from the bottom to get my job done. And this is Katie, who came up through the NASA Astronaut Corps, which is a boys' club, right? I mean, you know, it's just the amount of men to women is significantly different. And the spacesuits don't necessarily fit the smaller people as well as they fit the larger and average sized people. And I finished telling Katie that story and she said, well, that sounds just like working with a man. So, Meatmore, if you'd like to know more about that, I would ask some of the women in your life how they get stuff done around men who don't want to listen. I believe they will tell you that that is a regular and constant issue for them. Let's see here. Thrash FPV. I feel like I know a lot about you from that name. Thrash FPV, drone hobbyist, I'm going to assume, says, I'm 25 and I see that my generation doesn't have curiosity or love of being a maker. I've tried to get people excited, but no one ever seems to actually want to be makers. Do you see that? How can I get people excited? Okay, so you understand that my existence is mostly people who make coming to me to tell me about their making. I don't have that same experience of your generation. And I get that you want to excite people, but part of me wants to know to what end? I'm just going to suggest this, that like we cannot proceed with our work in any capacity. This is my belief. I don't think that we can proceed with our work in any capacity trying to hold on to the effect we hope that work will have. We start with a goal for the effect. That's not what I'm talking about. Keeping an effect in mind. If I'm going to do a PSA about the flu, I have an effect I want out of that video. But I'm operating through that procedure of making those videos with the idea of trying to get that effect. But once I've executed my thing, I stop thinking about the effect that it has because I can no longer control that. There's a lot of talk among YouTubers and content creators and influencers about the effect on the audience. And I really still submit that it is a lottery if the stuff you're interested in intersects with your audience in a significant way. But if it's going to intersect in any way, it's just vital that you do it. So you are asking me, Thrash FPV, how to inspire people. The best way to inspire people is to not be thinking about inspiring them and doing your thing and talking about it and communicating it. And also, listening to the people that ask you about it. Paying attention to the space that they're in when they're talking about it. But you're not going to be like, dude, isn't making great? Come on, come on, come on. There's no percentage in that for you. You're 25 too. You're really young. I would counsel you to concentrate on your work. And then after we do our work, we gain some over a period of time, I feel like as artists and creators, we get some distance from our work, just enough to be able to learn from watching people react to our work. You know, and it's not just tied up in our ego and our self-esteem, but it's also like aesthetically, we learn about ourselves from the things that we make. I don't start a piece being like, I really want to explore. Well, I do sometimes. I want to explore this aesthetic. But then if the piece is really good, it's good in a way that I'm completely surprised by and didn't try and put in there. I was just moving towards a goal. Have I drifted way off the path here? You can't seek out to get people excited. You can seek out to entertain them. But you've got to just do your own work. Yeah. Patrick Sanders. Patrick Sanders says, the best dog ever, my Lola, was attacked and killed on Valentine's Day. Patrick, I'm so sorry. I am so, so sorry. He says some other things about a wonderful companion she was for 10 years and a Chihuahua. And he says he's grown up around dogs and death, but Lola was such an amazing dog. He's always respected my point of view. Do I have any suggestions on how to carry on? Yeah, so as a lot of people who've watched this channel know, I was lucky enough to live with this amazing dog named Huxley for 13 years. He was a super muddy mutt and one of those dogs that like other people would, I heard this many times over the course of his life. Oh, I really want a dog, but since I've met Huxley and I know I'll never get a dog as good as that, I don't want a dog. Just like, it's a lot, that's intense. But Huxley was one of those dogs. Huxley died in January of 2020, which is really a shame because nobody wanted us home all the time more than Huxley. Like Maggie's ecstatic about it. Maggie was ecstatic about it, but like he would have really enjoyed COVID, would have really enjoyed the lockdown. The thing I want to tell you is two things. One, I was listening to This American Life many years ago about a parent who had lost a child. And they said that in the aftermath of losing their child, people said all sorts of things to them in condolence. And that almost all of it was useless. Not the fault of the people giving the condolences at all, just in the face of real, abiding, deep grief. Nothing gets through because nothing can get through. And they said one thing got to them, and it was somebody that said to them, somebody who had also lost a child. They said, you will find that you can get used to anything. And what they were saying was, this will never go away, the feeling you have, but you'll be able to incorporate it. And I think of those. So there's that. And then there's the fact that when we in my family talk about Huxley, we sometimes even talk about him in the present because we are very clear that our love for Huxley is here and now. Like it is in the room. There's no use to love that dog. There is currently loving that dog, even though he ain't here. We are not worthy of our pets. It is such a grace to get to spend time with them and their love. And it's, yeah, losing them is really hard. And Maggie, my terrier Maggie, man, she's going strong, but she turned 16 in October. So she's just 8 months away from turning 17, man. And I don't know what it's going to be like, but it's not going to be easy. Look, because it's happened a lot this week, C.S. Woody wants to know what Wait, they want to know that I seem like such a happy, joyous guy. How have I dealt with major changes in my life and kept that joy? I was raised as an optimist. Like, my parents were very optimistic people. I have, in general, an optimistic outlook on life. And the main way I have kept my joy, man, is because of the people that I get to spend time with in my life. My partner is my favorite person in the world, and I see them all the time. It's just spectacular. My kids are amazing. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Absolutely, gratitude is how I hold on to my joy, because I feel insanely, incredibly lucky to do this, to get to come to this space every day, to talk to you lovely folks on a bi-weekly basis. Bi-weekly, what a useless word. It means two different things. English. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the Tested membership has become such an important part of the Tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the Tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to, and you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.